Being the Ricardos, out on Amazon Prime, written and directed by Aaron Sorkin, starring Nicole Kidman and Javier Bardem. It's a film about stars and creators of one of the most famous American sitcoms of all time, I Love Lucy. The film is structured in a way that has a linear plot taking course over 1 week of preparations for shooting another episode of the show, and every once in a while it goes into a flashback from the earlier stage of Lucy and Desi's life and relationship. For those of you who, like me, didn't know anything about I Love Lucy before, classic sitcom which was a little unique because the stars of it were actually married in real life as well. So this was kind of a grander partnership that encompassed their whole lives, and also Desi was a Cuban. He wasn't, a white American, which was also something new in television at the time, to have a leading man who wasn't white. So, they were having their personal lives. They were actors, but they also had a ton of creative input into the show, which you can see in the way they interact with one another, but also the rest of the cast and the crew. And also the time period for the time setting for this 1 week of the narrative was chosen very specifically because it's a week that follows several revelations. First of all, Lucy has been accused by a journalist of supporting the Communist Party, which in the 1950s America was essentially criminal. Desi has been accused by another journalist of having an affair and cheating on Lucy. And to top it all off, Lucy has just found out that she's pregnant, which of course would be a major disruption for the show's schedule. Amidst this set of problems, Lucy and Desi try to navigate this week and ensure that whatever else is happening, the upcoming episode of the show will be as good as can be. Now, I will say that the film was surprisingly good. Surprisingly because, first of all, I had no interest in the subject matter whatsoever. I never saw a single clip of I Love Lucy, let alone an entire episode. So, I was kind of a newcomer to this subject. Secondly, as good as Sorkin is as a writer, he was so far hit and miss as a director. I liked The Trial of Chicago 7, but on the other hand, Molly's Game I found underwhelming. But Being the Ricardos is, again, surprisingly engaging, I think because it manages to focus on the things that are interesting and relatable, even for people like me who had no contact with the original show, who don't know who these people were. So what we're watching is almost a character study of primarily Lucy as a confident, focused, driven woman that is almost obsessed with her work, but also has very clear priorities in terms of her personal life. But also a character study of the dynamic that she has with Desi, how their professional partnership works, which roles do they fill in it, and what problems that can lead to. And I found all of that fairly interesting to watch. It also helps that Sorkin knows how to write well, and the film, no surprise, is very heavily dialogue driven. He also uses almost all of his signature moves and tricks. So we have a scene where characters do the walk and talk through corridors. We have a scene where characters jump through multiple different topics of conversation back and forth. And generally speaking, there's a lot of fast-paced, witty dialogue, which I think fits the personality of especially Lucy as presented here. Now, I know that some people weren't fans of the casting of Javier Bardem because he bears no physical resemblance to the real Desi. I didn't have any preconceptions, so I was able to focus more on his personality traits rather than physicality, and thus found Bardem pretty good in the role. Kidman is excellent, I think. I really bought her as this intelligent lady that is very adept at hiding her real emotions, but at the same time, hinting that they're there underneath. I also very much enjoyed J.K. Simmons in a supporting role, always a treat to see him pop up in movies. So yeah, overall I think it's a solid film that can certainly be enjoyed by people who never watched I Love Lucy just as well as fans of the show, because it's just a competent study of characters and social dynamics.